Well, I want to be a WWE Superstar.
You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
There you go, folks. Another edition of the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling with your host, Mr. Green. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And for those that are not aware, the podcast has expanded a bit. Quick pat on the back for us. If you have not found it already, or you're looking for other places that you can either stream or download the podcast, you can catch it on TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, Podbean.com, iTunes. All of those good locations are places that you can find this particular podcast, which will be filled with interviews and reviews and so on and so forth. And, of course, if all of those are too difficult, you can go on to WPNWrestling.com. Of course, we encourage that. That is the focal point of everything that the Women's Pro Wrestling Network does and everything that we produce. And certainly there are links to everything that is created that you can kind of span off, including the videos. Of course, you know, the videos are always good. And for those that listen to podcasts on YouTube, that we upload some of those there as well. Of course, as this goes on, I think some more exclusive content will begin to exist within the Podbean realm or something of that nature. We're still going to work out the bugs on that. But as it is right now, all of those platforms, all of those venues are available to you to check out this particular podcast, and we appreciate you for doing it. As I record this, we have new champions in the world of women's pro wrestling, pretty much across the board. I don't want to shortchange this lady because I've said publicly on a couple of occasions, Mercedes Martinez is probably one of my favorites that is on the landscape of pro wrestling, and she just recently won the WSU championship. This is her third go-around, and it is a championship for a company that arguably she helped make. I mean, I think, if I'm remembering it correctly, that she held it for close to 2 years during her initial run, and that was pretty much by design. The company was looking to build itself, and at that time, she was probably the most accomplished performer, and still is, in my view. And she took on everybody. She had some classic matches up there, some hours, I believe the longest recorded Iron Woman match in history, like an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. It's ridiculously long. Steel cage matches, ladder matches, and she took on just a slew of people up and down the board. So congratulations to Mercedes Martinez. And if you haven't seen any of those matches, I would encourage you to track them down and find some of them. They're really good. Also, I guess big congratulations go out to Kiera Hogan, Girl on Fire, who is an Atlanta-based wrestler, but of course she is spreading her seeds across the independent wrestling circuit and has recently won her first major championship, that being the Spirit Championship, also in WSU. So congratulations to her. I'm sure that will go a long way in kind of solidifying her status as one of the up-and-coming stars in the world of women's wrestling. Who else? Naomi. Yeah, how could I almost forget that? Naomi won the SmackDown Women's title. She finally won. She finally won her championship. I went into that match predicting her to win, but not really expecting her to win, to be quite honest with you. She had been slated to win the championship sometime in the past. Well, I shouldn't say the SmackDown championship sometime in the past, but she's been slated to win a championship sometime in the past. The Divas title, to be more specific, when she was starting to get hot. But the problem was that I think she had some injuries back at that time, and she also got hot around the time when they had Nikki Bella holding the championship, and they were hell bent on having Nikki break that record that AJ had put out. And nobody or nothing was going to stop that. It didn't matter that Naomi was kind of pulling into her own and becoming a good wrestler and all that good stuff. So she got derailed some time ago, and it is very, I'm sure, rewarding for her and certainly rewarding for the fans to see her finally get that championship, finally get over that hump. And she never really had the opportunity to do what the other girls that came out of NXT were able to do. They were able to sell themselves on the idea of, we're great wrestlers. And they had some kick-ass matches out in NXT, of course, wrestling each other. And of course, speaking of the four horsewomen of NXT, Becky Lynch, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte. And they made their careers based off of just the fact that they were good in the ring. And Naomi has never really had the opportunity to show that. She's always been kind of perceived as very athletic, and she's shown that she can be very athletic, but she hasn't had the chance to have that killer match. She had a good match with Alexa Bliss, but we're still kind of waiting on that killer match so she can show the world that she has every bit the right of being, in that division, and that she can go with the best of them as anybody else. Also on Raw, Bayley won her championship. I'm a little bit more hesitant about Bayley winning the championship. First of all, congratulations to her for doing it, because we all know her story. She was a big fan, and she got the opportunity to get into the business. She wrestled under the moniker, I should say, of Davina Rose on the independent circuit. Got signed into WWE, changed her name to Bayley. Had this long build to her winning the NXT Women's Championship, which is a great match. Of course, everybody, they still talk about it today, her versus Sasha Banks at the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And then she gets called up to the main roster, and now she has finally done it. She not only did she do it, but she headlined a Monday Night Raw to do it, and that's a huge accomplishment in and of itself, that she won the title and headline Raw in the same night. The only issue that I have here is that this is the fourth or fifth time that the Women's Championship on Raw has turned over in a main event setting. And Charlotte, excuse me, up until this point has always gotten the title back. She's always gotten the title back. And in fact, it hasn't even, they usually don't even last, maybe a week before it turns back over. The title, if we look at the number of changes, I think she's a 4-time Raw Women's Champion. So she's turned it over from WrestleMania to now about 4 or 5 times, and never lost on a pay-per-view. So she would lose it on Raw, win it back, lose it on Raw, win it back, lose it on Raw, win it back. Look, Sasha Banks is a 3-time champion, but she's never had a run as the champion holder. Only Charlotte's had it. And as many times that title's changed hands, it's only been 2 people up until Bayley won. There's only been 2 people who actually held the belt. SmackDown has 3 people right now, and at least each of them have had, excluding Naomi because she just got it, but each of them have had at least a moderate run with the title just to hold on to it for a reasonable, a couple of months, if not, weeks at minimum, to be able to say that I was the champion and, I had a good little run with the title. So I am concerned about that, particularly considering that they've already leaked rumors that the title is going to be vacated because the interference that took place in the match, that Sasha Banks came out to try to help Bayley. To put it in context, Dana Brooke came, which I was just wondering where she was. I hadn't seen her in a while. But she came down to help Charlotte, which stopped Bayley from winning. But then Charlotte got the The figure eights locked in on her. Sasha Banks came down to help, and behind the referee's back, she jammed a crutch into Charlotte's sternum. And so Bayley picks her up and then takes over the Bayley to belly. Boom, 1, 2, 3, she wins the championship. And then the story came out after Raw went off that Bayley is due to be stripped of the title. And they're going to walk into WrestleMania with the title vacated. And I assume, kind of repeat the process that they did last year. We're gonna have a vacant title and one of these 3, possibly 4 women to walk out. The 4th being Nia Jax. So, again, I'm a little hesitant to kind of jump on the Bayley bandwagon because of those rumors. But all in all, congratulations to her. And congratulations to all the ladies that I just mentioned ahead of this for their championship wins. Is very, very good for all of them. Now, to get into the meat of the podcast, Noelle Foley wanted to be a WWE superstar. And I use those terms specifically because she has specifically stated, I want to be a WWE superstar. If you watched Holey Foley, the reality TV show that airs on the WWE Network, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not, or if you do not subscribe to the network, the context of that is, of course, this reality TV show that follows the Foley family around. The 2 stars of that being Mick Foley, of course, and Noelle Foley. That's pretty much what they have banked this show on. And they have all the other kids there. They have his son Dewey and his wife, and I think his 2 younger children there. But it's basically Mick and Noelle that have been kind of the focal point. So within that, they have Noelle, who has begun training. And she, I forget the wrestling school that she trains up at. I actually posted it some months ago on the WPN Facebook page. If you haven't gone there, please do, and like the page. But I did post it up there, and she has been wrestling at a local wrestling facility in New York. And she's been, they got the footage of her kind of doing what she's doing and getting herself into shape and training cardio and in the ring. And she's also been able to get down to the Performance Center. She's been in the ring with Sasha Banks. She's been in the ring with Becky Lynch. She's had a sit-down conversation with Charlotte Flair, that, who probably has more insight to what she's going to face than anybody else. Charlotte telling her, look, you're going to be viewed as your dad's daughter no matter what. They're going to assume that you're here solely because of that, which is, partially true. And I would say a huge part of that is true. Charlotte got that gig because her dad was Ric Flair, and she knows that. But she also worked very hard to kind of pull herself out of her dad's shadow, which she's done an outstanding job of doing. But getting back to Noelle, the issue, I wouldn't say the issue because that kind of has a negative vibe on it, but the concern that I have with Noelle in that particular position is the statement of I want to be a WWE superstar opposed to I want to be a wrestler. There are many people who have signed on to the WWE that have gone into developmental and have almost never seen the light of day. That is the concern because, again, going back to the Holey Foley reality show, her father right now is not all that convinced that she's ready to be in the ring. And I think he's stated stuff like, she's in there smiling. She doesn't take the bumps as well as she could and things of that nature. Now, if this were 3, 4, 5 years ago, I don't think that would have made a difference in the world because that would have still been within the confines of the Diva era. And the Diva era, it didn't matter if you knew how to wrestle. And all due respect to some of the ladies that kind of signed on within that Divas era, I mean, I can't discount all of them. And I can't discount the ones that learned en route of, being signed on without any experience. You take somebody like a Michelle McCool, a Trish Stratus, so on and so forth. Even the Bella Twins, sorry, I got to give them credit where credit's due. I know some people got some hate for the Bella Twins, but I got to give credit where it's due. They at least made the effort and became competent. Some people got better than others, but they at least got competent. And then you have the other side of that coin, people who didn't learn at all and never had a reason to learn, like Rosa Mendez, who coincidentally announced her retirement for wrestling, even though she hadn't been there in over a year. But congratulations to her all the same, motherhood and all that good stuff. Eva Marie, who, that has been the running joke with her, is that she hasn't learned how to wrestle. Hasn't needed to learn how to wrestle, appeared on TV before she even knew halfway what she was doing in the ring, all solely based on the fact that she was a very attractive looking girl. She got by on her look, and that was fine within the Divas era. And if Noelle was going to be a WWE superstar at that point in time, wouldn't have a problem at all. The issue now is that the wrestling has become the focal point. The wrestling has become the thing that the ladies have stood on to be the stars that they are. Of course, your Charlotte, your Bayley, your Sasha Banks, your Becky Lynch, and even the other girls, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, and so on and so forth. The ones that are good in the ring are the ones that get the most TV time within the ring now, and the ones that aren't have been played off into the background. Alicia Fox, I never thought was bad, but what is she doing right now? She's basically just kind of reverted into being a valet, and the only time that she came out is when they needed an extra body to kind of fill space within the Survivor Series match and somebody for Nia Jax to kind of throw around. Outside of that, she really doesn't do that much. And that's what I'm concerned with Noelle. Is she jumping the gun? Is she getting in there too soon? Is she going to go into being a WWE superstar and so focused on being a WWE superstar opposed to being a good wrestler that it shortchanges her? Now, her being Mick Foley's daughter is going to get her a job within the WWE regardless, and I think is common knowledge that is going to happen. I mean, that is probably a very easy prediction to put down. She's going to get a gig within the WWE. She's already been used on their top 10 videos. She's already appeared to help promote Holey Foley. She's already been on the podcast with her dad. So, she's basically half a foot in the door as it is. The only thing that she's missing, and I guess perceptively, is that she doesn't know how to operate in the ring, which is what she wants to do. But when I think about her and this situation, I go into what, oddly enough, what Jeff Jarrett said when he was telling his story about how when he was in Memphis and kind of just starting out, he was given a call from WCW ahead of his term in WWE, as Double J. He said he was offered a gig there, and he wanted to go. And his father said, "No, you're not ready." And in hindsight, he was on that video saying, "My dad was right," because it's so often now that you see people sign that contract and go into the WWE and get on that main stage who haven't developed, they haven't learned, they haven't developed an act. And I certainly do not want to criticize NXT, but NXT, as good as it is, and they have by looking at their facility, online and all that stuff like that, they have a great program, great facility, great place for them to learn, but some of them people do not get the chance to learn like they should. Some get called up just because. Dana Brooke is not a overly accomplished wrestler. She's a good-looking girl, and she has a great physique and had a good gimmick as the Total Diva, which they don't even call her that anymore because they don't want to use the term divas now. But she got called up before she was ready. Dana Brooke has not had a good match in NXT to constitute her being up there. There are people that have been on that Breaking Ground TV show on the network that got signed onto the developmental deals who've never been seen again. One of which I know, but I won't go into that. I haven't seen her since that point. And just judging by this particular person's indie record, I don't even think that she wrestled for a solid year before she signed on. She got in there because she gave a great promo. She had a good look, and they liked her. All right, let's sign up, and we'll train her how to do the rest. The problem is that NXT as a brand is almost, it's not even developmental anymore. It's a third brand, and it's kind of dependent on people kind of coming in and being ready to rock and roll. And if they aren't, they get left behind. They want people that's good on TV, and that puts them in a bad position. That places them in a bad spot where they have to get people that are advanced or advanced beyond their years, like Charlotte was. Charlotte was advanced beyond her years. But she also had the benefit of being there at FCW too, where it wasn't a lot of eyeballs on her, and it wasn't that much pressure to be a good product for the network. Now, NXT's got to be a good product for the network. It's touring, it's got to be good for that. And yeah, they got house shows, and I'm pretty sure those same people I'm talking about that haven't been on TV probably show up at the house shows and whatnot. But still, it's kind of keeping them from taking that next step because they haven't been able to get the training that they should, opposed to people who came in already trained. And the only thing they really needed NXT for was to get used to the WWE style. Your Sami Zayn's, your Kevin Owens, your Baileys, your Sasha Banks. And people forget that those two were indie girls before they came in there. Charlotte is just a freak of nature. She just learned really, really fast. Not Sasha Banks, I already named her. Becky Lynch, Austin Aries, Samoa Joe. I mean, you could go down the list of the people that they went out of their way to sign so they could keep the brand alive and to make the brand hot. And that's what they did. But it's a unique situation where it's developmental, but it's kind of not really developmental anymore. My suggestion, if I had any kind of forum to give an open call out to Noelle Foley, is that she's already training at a third-party wrestling company or facility. I forget the name. Sorry. It's on the Facebook page. You can scroll down and look at it. I would say at this stage of the game, she should probably hit the independents. Why should she hit the independents and forego the WWE, as a superstar? Well, one, because she will probably be able to go in and out of the WWE I don't want to say as she pleases, but she'll probably be able to get in and out of there the way that she's doing right now. She's not signed to the WWE, but she has appeared on the WWE network, so I don't think that's going to go anywhere should she decide to stay on the independents. That's the first thing. The second thing is that she will probably get more out of going on the independents and learning who Noelle Foley is in the ring rather than being in the developmental center. The developmental center has a lot of people there, and they got a lot of trainers and everything. But her being out on the road, having to step in the ring with some people that are really, really good and some people who are really, really bad will teach you a lot. It'll teach you a lot just to fail. And that you learn a lot more by screwing up than you do by just getting things perfectly successfully handed to you on a silver platter. And it shows. The WWE record of that shows. If you don't believe it, where's Curtis Axel today? He started out good. They gave him Paul Heyman. He had a reasonable gimmick and all that stuff like that. But where did he go past that? He wasn't ready. And because he's in the WWE and he's on a pretty high, a reasonable pay scale, he probably doesn't want to leave. Not many people are going to do what Cody Rhodes did and say, I'm better than this. Let me go show the world. He probably is like a lot of people that's in there that come in, show up at catering, sit down, and just happen to collect the check and stay underneath the radar until they decide that either A, we want to use you, or B, why are we paying this guy? We're going to have to cut him loose. Noelle needs to do something before it gets, before that potential situation shows up. She needs to go out. There are so many girls out there on the independent circuit that she could be working and that she can learn stuff from just within that region alone, within that company that she's training with. There's Willow Nightingale, Sonya Strong, Aria Cadenza. She goes down a little bit further. You got your Mistress Belmont. You got girls that come up into the New York area like Jessie Belle Smulders and Casey Carlisle. She will learn something regardless, just being in the ring with them and being in the ring with girls that aren't that experienced. She'll learn what not to do. She'll learn how to handle the fans. She will have developed a name outside of just being Mick Foley's daughter. Yes, I understand. She's got the look and everything that the WWE would like, but arguably speaking, this is just one man's opinion, as they say. Arguably speaking, it would be better for her long-term career, not the short-term, but the long-term in-ring career. Let me specify that, because she could probably do, hosting and interviews and all that stuff tomorrow if she felt like doing it. But for her in-ring long-term career, it'd probably be better if she went out onto the wrestling circuit and got that experience underneath her, just so she could say Noelle Foley is a wrestler opposed to a WWE superstar. And that will get her a long-standing gig inside of WWE, because at this stage of the game, NXT wants the talent. They want the talent. They want the people that's able to do it. So that's my opinion about the whole matter. I do appreciate you sticking in and listening to this particular podcast. Again, if you are unaware of the locations that you can get it, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, Google Play Music, Podbean, YouTube, all of those platforms are great. You can check them all out and download or stream. If you are going to, please follow on one of those various platforms, the platform of your choice. The subscriptions help, and it's free. It's not going to hurt you at all. It don't bite. It's not going to bite. It's not going to kill you to hit a like button or subscribe or follow or whatever you happen to be coming across this, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, so on. And by the way, follow us on Twitter, WPN Wrestling. Same thing as the website, WPNWrestling.com. We have videos available on the Women's Pro Wrestling Network on YouTube. You love those. If you're a fan of women's wrestling, then you need to go and check those out. And, of course, like I said, Facebook, Women's Pro Wrestling Network. It's all there, all up and down the board. So thank you for tuning in to this. Appreciate your time. Be sure to check us out for the next one when we go into WOW and their Friday night fights, the return of WOW, and the transition that they're making into being what I feel is an independent promotion. Take care, guys.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.